to the third and final part of the Blondie backtracking episode. We begin here with the band's 8th album, The Curse of Blondie. Released through Sanctuary Records in the US and Epic Records in the UK, it would be produced by Steve Thompson. So, after the release of No Exit, the band got to working on demos after its release, but the demo tapes got lost in the band's luggage at a UK airport, so they had to re-record all of them. That shouldn't be that hilarious, but it is to me because I'm a cruel bastard and I like a bit of schadenfreude in my life. Anyway, this album starts with the song Shakedown, and from the get-go, this album is sort of aiming to sound like Blondie's earlier works, which was the intention here. So that means that you can hear the guitar and there's no overly experimental stuff to bog down a good core sound, so woohoo! Sadly, one thing that does carry over from their more recent works is that it's just too damn long. It's 14 songs stretched to over an hour and 5 minutes, and it's not the most fun thing to listen through, as good as the music is, and at least it's mostly comprised of actual songs and not just half wankery for the sake of wankery. It's also polished pretty nicely in terms of its production, and it at least has a good clean sound to it. Lyrically, it's again the same stuff about love and romance and so on, but at least it actually fits in the wheelhouse of the music that accompanies it this time. While the album is a bit of a slog, at least it's got some catchy music and decent crafted sound, and at least my favourite song is End to End. So yeah, a bit long and a bit bloated, but easy enough to listen to, and the band at least show signs of improvement since their reformation. At least. Next is album 9 by Blondie, titled Panic of Girls. Released in 2011, it will come out through EMI and 5-7 Records, and it was produced by Jeff Saltzman. We'd also have a lineup change as we get new bassist Leigh Fox, as well as keyboard player Matt Katz-Bowen and guitarist Tommy Kessler. So even though their last album wasn't a success commercially, the band was still busy in the 8 years between, touring off the 30th anniversary of their Parallel Lines album, not to mention all of the lineup shit and label deals falling through that just made things worse. But still, that way it was kind of worth it, as is evident from the kickoff song of this album titled D-Day. It somehow captures their older sound in a much better way, and it's got a lot of classic punkish energy under its polished and shiny production, just like the band's earliest work did. I will admit, it sounds like Debbie Harry has a slightly more aged voice at times, and I think it suits her in this case. She carries more weight to her words, and her lyrics at least feel more mature this time around. It's nice to hear a woman in her mid-50s, at the time she was in her mid-50s, actually trying to sound her age and that paying off. But with age didn't come slowness. As mentioned earlier, it's still got a good punk feeling to it, and some critics didn't like this one as much as they liked The Curse of Blondie. Is it because this one doesn't drag itself nearly as much? The production and performances feel more natural, it feels its time better and feels like a genuine improvement as opposed to a marginal one? Who can say? My favourite song goes to Love Doesn't Frighten Me. And what is a surprisingly more organic and better structured album, it's nice to see that the 8 years between albums feel like it paid off more for this one. Next is what is technically the band's 10th album, Ghosts of Download. Released in 2014, it would come out through Noble ID and have about 5 producers, 3 of which were members of the band. So yeah, I did say technically a bit earlier there, because Ghosts of Download is the second part of a double album titled Blondie 4 in brackets 0 Ever, and the first part is a Greatest Hits collection called Greatest Hits Deluxe Redux. The only unique thing that I can say for this album's background is that it celebrates 40 years as a band. I mean, provided that you forget about the 15 years that they broke up for, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. So this album starts with the song Sugar on the side, and I'll say that it points to the rest of the album being one of Blondie's more popular releases, because it is one of their more popular releases. Except, you know, without the self-awareness that the band showcased on Panic of Girls. It's not afraid to lean into the worst trends of modern pop either, rife with overproduction, muted instrumental work, and bland and generic lyrics. This album is a great example of I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. It's not a badly put together pop album, but like the past few albums we've had, it's got so much outside interference to it. Debbie Harry is a good singer, and she still is, so why the fuck is she getting auto-tuned to hell? And the band aren't into it either because 3 of them are producing the fucking album. They've been a name for 40 years by this point, and this is the route that they took, just to play it safe and comfortable. There's aging, and then there's just aging lazily, and this album is a sad example of the latter. It can show some decent production here and there, and when Debbie isn't being bogged down, she still shines through, but damn, this is not a good case for the band. My favourite song goes to Winter. It's not overly horrible, but it leans so much into what the band used to be so against, and that is arguably more damaging in my opinion. And finally, for Blondie, and for this portion of the series, we reach the band's 11th album, Pollinator. Released in 2017, it would be released through BMG and Infectious Records, and it would be produced by John Congleton. So after the band experimented a bit too bloody much on Ghost of Download, they went back to a sound that actually works on Pollinator, which is evident from the opening track featuring Joan Jett herself. How serendipitous. Said first track is titled Doom or Destiny, and oh god, thank you Blondie for just being Blondie on this album. Seriously, even though it could have felt dated to go back to such an old sound, it's a loop that actually works for the band, and it's always worked for them. I can't say how glad I am to be ending this episode on this album rather than, you know, most of what came before it. It's a well-paced album combining the band's old school energy with a newfound maturity that comes with their age and longevity. The lyrics feel a bit more honest as well, talking more about personal issues and love and addiction, so it's nice to see that there's a shift there too. And the band all sound great, like they actually give a shit about what they're playing, and when a band cares, that gets me invested. It's also produced nicely, with Jongleton providing a lot of great work on his end and bringing up a good sound, and it's structured nicely too, 11 songs packed into 45 minutes and making it all count. This is some proper good stuff, this. My favourite song goes to Best Day Ever. Honestly, this album is so fun and the perfect example of how Blondie would sound these days, and this one only came out 3 years ago. I'm glad to hear this side of them shine through. It just sounds great and it's a nice way to cap off the mid-season finale, I think. So that's it. There's not going to be any more backtracking for maybe a couple of weeks, as I have other things I want to try and attempt, like more top 10 lists and maybe a vocal cover here and there. But I want to thank you all for sticking with me so far, not just throughout the season, but throughout the entirety of Backtracking existence. And I can tell you now that the next episode of Backtracking will start with Little Rock, Arkansas's own Evanescence. I know. As for the immediate future, you'll probably see me tonight because I'll be doing a PBW stream, and then tomorrow will be Music of the Month for June, then Friday will be War of Attrition 2. I don't remember if there's a UFC event on this weekend. I'm sort of hoping that there's not, but if there is, I'll do a fight of the night if there is one to talk about. And, yeah, I don't have a lot else really to go over. I'll see you, if you watch my streams, I'll see you for the stream tonight, but if you watch my videos, I'll see you on YouTube tomorrow, whenever I put that video up. So, as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye-bye. See you for Evanescence.